The Eisenberg Star Cruiser 32nd Century Starship in Star Trek Online. Let's do the gameplay review. In front of me, I've got the Eisenberg Star Cruiser in Star Trek Online. I'm about to do a full gameplay review of this starship. What that means is that we will look at this ship visually, see what we can do in the ship customizer. I will then talk about its specifications. We will look at all of the features and special abilities that it has in space, and then I will take it into combat. And we will try out these special features and abilities and see what this ship can do and what it allows you to do as a player. Now, before we get into that, let's do a little introduction of this ship. So this is the Eisenberg-class Star Cruiser, so that is the type of class that this ship is. This ship is from the 32nd century in Star Trek, the series Discovery. That is where this ship was found. It is now available in Star Trek Online. This ship was obtainable during the 2021 Q's Winter Wonderland event. So this ship is no longer obtainable. However, if you got this ship during that event, then you could reclaim it on any character on your account, and it can be played by any faction. This is a Tier 6 cruiser. It has, at level 65, a hull strength of 63,000. It has a hull modifier of 1.4, a shield modifier of 0.95, a turn rate of 10, impulse 0.18, inertia rating of 60, and it has bonus power plus 5 to all power levels. Now, for bridge officer seating, this ship is very unique. It has a lieutenant tactical bridge officer seating, a commander engineering, which is what you would expect on a cruiser like this. But here is where it differs, or starts to differ, and is really exciting. You have a lieutenant commander universal / miracle worker and an ensign engineering / command. And on top of that, lieutenant commander science. And that is what makes this ship a bit unique, is that it has dual specialized seating. So you have command specialized seating, and you have miracle worker specialized seating, and a universal on top of all that. So it has an extremely varied bridge officer seating setup, so you can do a lot with this ship and really customize it. Alright, on top of that, we have 4 forward weapons, 4 aft, 4 TAC consoles, 4 engineering consoles, 4 science consoles. This has a Federation battle cloak, 32nd century Federation battle cloak. So yes, you can cloak this starship. It has the special ability called Great Material Continuum. It has the Starship Mastery Cruiser set of traits. And this one, the specific starship trait is called Ingenious Tenacity. And then it has the cruiser command abilities as well. So this ship is set up to be a cruiser. An engineering character would be able to play this very well. This could provide a good tank role as well. However, it does have really specialized seating, so you can utilize command abilities or miracle worker abilities and just really decide how you want to, make this starship and build it your own. Now, as I go through in this gameplay review, I will take a look at all of these features a little bit later on. We will look at these abilities and try them out. We will look at my build and see what I am running. Just keep in mind that the goal and point of this video is not to scrutinize my build necessarily. It is to just there as a demonstration so that we can demonstrate the powers. Naturally, there are a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of flexibility with how you can make a build on this ship and all the different powers you can use and different equipment and bridge officer seating and abilities. So that is just going to be up to you and how you decide to build your ship. What I have on here is just simply for demonstration purposes so that we can look at the ship powers and what this ship looks like in combat. But now I'm going to take a look at this ship visually and we'll do an overall visual of it. Then we'll dive into visual customization. And then from there, we will go into looking at its powers and abilities, and then we will do some combat with it and try it out. Okay, now we are going to look at the Eisenberg Star Cruiser, Eisenberg-class Star Cruiser, in a visual way. Let's take a look at it and see what this ship looks like, and what makes it unique. The absolute first thing that you will notice with the visuals on this starship is that it has the detached nacelle design that we see in 32nd century Star Trek, which is from Star Trek Discovery. This is that future detached nacelle design. So I don't want to get into a huge debate about the usefulness of detached nacelles. However, I will just say put this in an imagination kind of context. We're talking the very far future, 32nd century. We are talking about materials and abilities and technology that is way beyond what is in the 24th or 25th century Star Trek. So I can understand the possibility that such a thing would exist. I can understand that technologically they would be able to achieve that ability. And I could understand that it would be done through some kind of magic. we would call it magic today that we don't quite understand. A technology where the nacelles are quantum entangled with the starship, so that even if there is power loss, the nacelles don't just fly away or float away from the ship. That they are, in a way, physically connected just through an invisible force. So I can understand how that would be. I can understand technologically that would be possible. Now, that topic is completely separate from the topic of, is it useful? What use does it have having the nacelles not physically connected to the ship? That's a whole different topic and a whole different debate, and I'm not going to get into that here in this video. That is outside the scope of this video, but I just wanted to put that into your minds about detached nacelles, because I know that they are a controversial topic in Star Trek, and on one side I can see it's possible, on the other side we can debate the usefulness of that. So let's not go into that right now. Maybe that's a topic for another video. But this one does have detached nacelles, and that's just the way this starship is. So whether you like that look or not, it does have that. Now, so the thing that I notice about the nacelles, however, which I'm not too keen on, is they look like 23rd century Discovery nacelles. They don't look like 32nd century nacelles. The nacelles themselves look dated. They look like something from, well, the Star Trek Discovery show. They don't look like something that has evolved over time. The detached nature, sure, evolved. However, the visual design of the nacelles, that seems a bit backwards to me. So I do question their design choices for that nacelle design itself. Now, I can't fault Star Trek Online. They just took the ship visuals directly from the show, so they've adapted it quite well to what the show has shown us. So there's that. I just wanted to mention that, though, because that's my overall thought on the nacelles. That's kind of a letdown for me overall on that design. Now, the ship itself definitely departs, hugely departs, from design language we've seen in other Star Trek ships. But that's okay. Again, we are talking 32nd century. We are talking ship design that would have evolved. And for that, I give kudos, because I think this design is quite striking, and I think it's quite different from ship designs we've seen in 23rd, 24th, 25th century Star Trek. So I think this ship design is actually very forward-looking, and I like the ship design. It's unique, right? It's extremely unique. I don't even know what kind of shape to call that. But consider we're in space. Things don't have to be aerodynamic. I mean, just look at a Borg cube. It doesn't have to be aerodynamic. So you can have something long and tall, like a spire kind of thing, flying around in space. And I think that makes things look a bit more majestic, in my opinion. Having that kind of design language, it makes you look more like you're a powerful, technologically inclined spacefaring race. When you have ship designs that are out of the ordinary, like this, like a big tube that's flying through space, or a spire, or, you know, things with maybe buildings or like skyscraper looking things coming off of it. Those kind of designs are unique, and I think make sense when you're a highly technological spacefaring race. So I actually like this design. The only part that I'm not too keen on, other than the nacelles, are this long bit that's sticking out here. What's the point of that? Why does this stick so far out? What does that do? Now, I could have understood this if it had hangar bays and you had some kind of support craft that launched from it, but this ship does not have a hangar bay. No hangar bay on this ship, no support craft, no type of drones or anything that launch from it to provide support. So that might be one downside for me on this ship, is I think it should have a hangar bay or some kind of drones, external drones that would launch and provide support. This part back here might have been a good place to store all of that, and then they launch from there. Like, that would have been a good use for it. But otherwise, what's the point of this long bit out here? I don't understand. All the windows stop here, so then what's this part for? Why is it so extended out here? That's a design language I don't quite understand. Also, it looks like the impulse engines are up here and they're round instead of rectangle, which is interesting and different and new. Maybe that allows it to be more maneuverable, but it's an interesting place to put them. The other part that I do like on this is whatever this is here, this shiny dome thing. I'm not quite sure what this is. My imagination tells me that it's either an observation dome, so that you can, you know, be at the top of the ship and have this huge expansive, you know, look up into space, or number two, it's some kind of arboretum or artificial environment of, like, you know, like a some kind of onboard forest or a jungle or some kind of environment like that, where people can experience like an outdoor environment but inside the ship. And maybe that could be that. That's what I imagine one of those things for that dome to be there. As for the deflector, I'm not sure I can figure out where the deflector on this ship actually is. I can't find the deflector dish. I also don't know where the bridge is, so that's another interesting topic. Perhaps the bridge is in here where these windows are? What is this? Is that the deflector? Yeah, some of these questions are just unknown because it is such a unique and interesting design. So we don't know exactly where everything is located or what everything is inside, so it's a little hard to note those things. but I do love the detail. So for Star Trek Online, they did add a lot of texture detail here. I love the dual colors. I love that this inset part is a darker color. This part here is a darker color. I really love that. The color choices are good. And it's typical Star Trek gray, which is great. Starship gray. It's not dark gray either. It's a bright gray. And that's a plus. We have to give them kudos for giving us light-colored, brightly gray ships instead of the dark colors we've been getting in Star Trek Discovery. This kind of breaks that mold a little bit with a brighter gray, which is what we're used to in the older Starship designs for Star Trek. So I do like the color choice here. I really, really do. And this is the default skin on the Eisenberg Star Cruiser. And we can tell from the windows that this is a big ship, but it's not as big as you think it would be. So let me zoom all the way out and show you. So look how far I can zoom out. So the fact that it gets really tiny when I zoom all the way out gives you an idea that this is not a huge ship. Even though you think it might be a huge ship, no, it's not a big ship at all. In my comparisons, looking at the ship's size, this ship is about just slightly bigger than the Odyssey class. So that might give you an idea for how it looks. And I think one of the best ways is to go over to some ships over here at ESD, and I'll do some size comparisons because I really want to do that this time, because I do want to emphasize this is not a huge ship. It's a big ship, but it's not huge. So let me just do a turn rate for you as well. There's a bit of a turn rate. Now, my turn rate is buffed by endeavors and other things, so my turn rate is going to be much higher than what you would get initially on this ship. The default turn rate is 10, so it's not a fast turning ship. But if you buff it enough with turn rate or endeavors, you've got marks into endeavors on turn rate, or you're using the pilot skill, for example, those things will improve your turn rate. But that's what I'm getting right now on my turn rate, you can kind of see. And that turn rate is 20. So I've got 20.9. So I'm double what it is default, just for your information. Okay, let's do a quick size comparison while we are looking at this ship visually before we go down to the ship customizer. So if I come up close to some other ships here, we can get kind of a look at how it compares. So here's an Odyssey class. How convenient, by the way. And if we come right up beside it, there you go. There's your size comparison. It's pretty much a little bit bigger than an Odyssey. And lengthwise, it's about the same because of this little bit sticking out. Actually, the front part from here to here is about where the nacelles stop here. So yeah, what makes it the length of the Odyssey is really just this bit sticking out here, whereas the Odyssey's length is made up by its nacelles there. So yeah, where it comes here is to about this pointy bit here, but this part of it here, yeah, I mean, it's about the size of an Odyssey, but I guess it could probably have more people inside, probably a larger crew complement because it has depth to it. So you have this part coming out down here, you've got windows here, so there's obviously space in here. So it probably has more volume inside, but so I would say it's higher volume than the Odyssey, but size-wise, when you're flying this ship in the game, it doesn't feel like a huge ship because it is literally cruiser-sized. It is a cruiser-sized ship. So not too big, and that really makes this ship fun to fly because it is not too big. You can actually maneuver with it and fly it around pretty easy, and it's a lot of fun because of that. Alright, the next step is to go into the ship customizer and see what we can do visually to the ship before we look at its powers and go into combat. Okay, I am in the ship customizer for the Eisenberg-class Star Cruiser. So let's take a quick look here. There's not a whole lot we can do with this. The template, there's only one template, and it's called Eisenberg, and that's the default. Interior, there is no special bridge. That's unfortunate. I wish it had a specialized bridge. That would have been exciting. Window type, we can change. Default is type 7. And you can see what the different window types look like on it. And I guess 7 looks the best. That's the default one. For materials, it has the 32nd Century Starfleet material. That's the default material on here. Now, there are some other options here, depending, of course, on what you have. But we have the 32nd Century Starfleet. There's also this Ambassador, and I'm not sure where that comes from, but I have an Ambassador material, which actually makes it look really cool. I like that look a lot. That's a darker gray, but it still looks really cool. And then the others are just going to be based on what materials you have available. I have a Janeway. That one looks really cool. That's a real dark one there. So these materials are just going to be based on, you know, other ships you have and what other materials you have available to you. But here's the default types and what they look like. 7A, 8, 8B, upgrade or veteran. So if you're a veteran, that's what the veteran skin looks like. If you have upgrade, I think the upgrade's kind of cool too. It's darker. But the default 32nd Century Starfleet. Now, for other things we can do, well, that's pretty much it. We cannot change the style. No hull or nacelle changes. It's pretty much what you get. You can change the pattern on it, and that's pretty much it. So it's very limited in terms of customization for visuals. Pretty much you're just going to be changing the material type or in the windows, and that's it. Okay, let's go into space and look at its powers and abilities. Okay, we are back in space on the Eisenberg-class Star Cruiser in Star Trek Online to take a look at its powers and abilities, what this ship has equipped on it, and how all of these features work. So the first thing I will mention before we look at everything, just a reminder again, this is not specifically about my build or the choices I've made on my build. My build is just set up for demonstration purposes so that I can demonstrate to you the abilities. Naturally, with all the different ways you can configure this ship, it is extremely unique and it has a lot of flexibility. All right, let's look at everything now. The first thing that I want to look at and show you is the mastery. So this has Starship Mastery unlocks. It has the Cruiser Mastery. So on the first one, you get physical damage resistance and kinetic damage resistance rating on that, plus 25. The second one you get is rapid repairs, regenerates 1881.8 hull. Now also these numbers and damage numbers and abilities and power numbers and all this that's shown is going to be unique to my character and its build. Your actual numbers will be a little bit different. The third one is plus 25 energy and radiation damage resistance. The fourth one is plus 10% hull hit points. So as you can see right off the bat, this is a ship with the Cruiser Mastery unlocks, so it can be used for tanks or that sort of builds. Now here's the special trait. This is called the Ingenious Tenacity trait. Activating a Specialist Bridge Officer ability causes incoming energy damage to restore 40% of that damage to the shield facing it hit for 6 seconds. So you will see this ability enable when you use a Specialist Bridge Officer ability. So that means Command or Miracle Worker, which is its Bridge Officer seating, the specialized Bridge Officer seating that it has. I have a Command ability, so when I enable that, and I'll do it right now, you will be able to see that engage. Oh, I can't enable that right now. I need to be in combat. So when I enable this in combat, you will see that. I will use Overwhelm Emitters, which is a command ability, and when I enable that ability, you will see that Tenacious Ingenuity thing enable. But I'll have to do that Ingenious Tenacity. I will have to do that while we're in combat, so I will demonstrate the Starship trait there. But let's look at the console that it comes with, the unique console it comes with. Now, this one is called the Great Material Continuum. It is a universal console, so you can put this on any other starship if you would like. But it does say here that it has +2 all power levels. That's its innate passive trait. So just having that on your ship will increase your power levels. You also have a +21.4 Starship Drain Expertise, so that'll improve your energy and shield drains and resistance. But here's what it does. So it's a PB AoE physical damage, temporary HP for self plus team, and that plus team is important. It is not just for yourself. This will encompass and affect a team that is around you or that is inside this bubble. So up to 10 foes within 5 kilometers, you do 790 physical damage, ignores shields each second for up to 15 seconds. When deactivated, self and all player teammates gain a temporary hit points for 20 seconds equal to physical damage dealt by this console. So, yes, you will be doing damage to your enemies that are within this field, and it is physical damage, and then when it deactivates to you and all your teammates, you get a temporary hit point buff for 20 seconds that is equal to the physical damage dealt by the console. So that's the important part there. Now, the way this works is really cool, and I am able to fire this off here in space, Great Material Continuum, and for me on my build, it is going to do 962.8 physical damage. Again, that damage will be dependent based on your build. To demonstrate this ability, I am going to go around some people here and activate it so you can see how it kind of creates a bubble around everybody. So I'll come right up to these people here. So everybody, let's say we were in a TFO, all playing a TFO, and these teammates were around me. I would enable this, and that's what it does. It puts us all under that bubble, and it would do physical damage if enemies were in this bubble. And then when it expires, and there is the bubble, you can see the bubble it forms. When it expires, it will give us temporary hit points based on the physical damage that we've dealt. So right now I haven't dealt any damage, so it's not going to give me temporary hit points. But if I were had done damage, then this would light up with temporary hit points, and I would increase my temporary, hull strength for a little bit. So that is basically how that works. And as you can see, it's a 2-minute cooldown. So it's best to enable that when you have a lot of teammates around you, or you have a real powerful enemy you need to bring down and you need to do damage to them, but also buff your team for temporary hit points. Again, this is a good ability for a tank as well, I would think. So that's the special ability that we have there. And as I mentioned, I will demonstrate the Starship trait in combat. All right, let's look at some other things. This ship does come with unique weapons. So this ship comes with these weapons here by default. This is the 32nd Century Federation phaser weaponry. So these are 32nd Century Federation phaser beam arrays and 32nd Century phaser dual beam bank, and then a regular standard photon torpedo. That's what it comes with by default. So you're asking what makes the Federation phaser beam arrays 32nd Century unique? Well, let's go to details. It says 32nd Century phaser space weapons have a chance to recover the recharge time of bridge officer abilities, providing an upfront burst of recovery and accelerating the recharge for a significant duration thereafter. Repeated triggers of this effect provide the upfront burst again and refresh the duration, the overtime bonus. So basically, it's a reduction in bridge officer ability times. So it's not going to do more damage. It's not going to, give you greater critical hit chance or anything like that. It's simply about recovering bridge officer ability recharge time with these 32nd century phasers. So yes, that means there are better phaser-based weapons if you wanted to use them for doing damage. This one is just all about being able to reuse your bridge officer abilities more often with this ship. So think about that. That's what the ship comes with. Now, the interesting part about these weapons that I found out, they cannot be upgraded. So they are infinite, which means they will scale to your level, but you cannot upgrade the rarity on them. They are what they are, and there is no changing that. Therefore, if you want a higher quality version of these, such as very rare or, ultra rare or epic, then you need to purchase these basically from the exchange, and you can purchase these from the exchange. I have done so, and as you can see, I was able to upgrade these now to epic quality. So you definitely can purchase Federation phasers 32nd century from the exchange, and I have 2 of the single beams, 1 of the dual beam, and 3 singles back here to match the theme of the ship in our combat so that you can see what these look like when we are firing on the enemy. For a torpedo, I'm just using a standard wide-angle quantum torpedo on this ship, again for demonstration purposes, just to give a kind of standard Federation-themed kind of build on this ship. But I am using the 32nd century phasers, which again come with the ship, unique to the ship, and I have them here upgraded, and as you can see, they do more damage. So by default, this would be 1086 phaser damage and 868 DPS, but with my upgraded ones, I am doing 1466 phaser damage and 1172 DPS. So definitely buying these weapons and upgrading them is giving me more damage. I also changed the modifiers. So I've got crit D damage, and then I got crit D, and then damage times 3 on all of them. That's the same. Yeah, so yes, you can do more damage by purchasing that type of phaser and then upgrading it rather than what it comes with. And it only comes with a standard photon torpedo, so that's not even special either. And again, these weapons are all about your bridge officer recharge time, not necessarily doing more damage. Okay, so that's my basic setup for this. I am also running Elite Fleet gear for the deflector, impulse, warp, and shields. So that's just a kind of standard Federation build. I wanted to keep it thematic to the ship, and this is a standard Federation kind of gear setup for this ship. But that's basically it. I have the consoles slotted. Let's quickly look at my bridge officer stations so you can see how I have that set up right now. I do have a command ability on this, but again, here is the Miracle Worker option, so you can have a universal slot here to put any type in there, but then also Miracle Worker, and then command in this one. So you do have that flexibility, which I think is really powerful on the ship. And then again, you have 4 forward, 4 aft, only 3 tactical slots though, but you do have 4 engineering and 4 science. So that gives you that ability there to really buff the ship up for like more of a, taking damage kind of a ship. This is not upgraded. You can upgrade this. It is upgradable, but mine is just tier 6. So you could upgrade this to tier 6X if you wanted to and gain another console slot. So there is an option for that. And here are my basic stats that I will be running for our combat. So my stealth detection rating is 36.43. My power transfer rate is 286%. My defense rating is 95. My hull strength is at 150,000 right now. Now, I do not necessarily have this ship built as a tank. I could put more into building that hull strength. I could make that higher. Right now it's at 150,000, but right now I've got it balanced between damage and taking damage, so it's more of a balanced build right now. I don't have it leaning one way or the other, but you could lean more toward that if you wanted. My shield strength is 22,000. My resists are in the low 40 or mid 40s% for everything, pretty much. My crit chance is 22.2%, crit severity 141%, and my turn rate is 20.9, which is buffed quite a bit from the default turn rate. And just for transparency, I am using the Command Officer as my primary specialization, and Miracle Worker is selected as the second specialization right now. So I do not have Pilot on. I am not using Pilot. But I do have Command Officer 1 for primary and Miracle Worker for secondary. This ship, again, if you wanted to really lean toward being a tank on this ship, you could have Miracle Worker as your primary and really go toward a Miracle Worker kind of build on this ship. And it kind of seems like this ship is geared for that. It's made for a Miracle Worker kind of a build. But I do have the Command Officer on there, and I'll be able to fire that off and show you the trait as we go into combat. Well, that's pretty much all I can think of right now for looking at its abilities and features and everything that it has. So the next thing we're going to do is to go into combat. I'm going to do a simple patrol first, just to demonstrate the abilities and show you what it looks like in combat. And then I'll do something a little bit harder. Just a small little addition before we go jump into that patrol. As I mentioned, I had forgotten, and I just realized this at the end of recording this whole video, I forgot to show you all the battle cloak. This ship does come with a battle cloak, so I need to mention that specifically and make it a point because it does come with it. Now, in my combat that you're about to see, I did not show the battle cloak in combat, so that's unfortunate. But I do want to just make it clear of what it has so that you know it does have a battle cloak. It's a Federation battle cloak, 32nd century. To self, when you activate it, you get plus 5,000 stealth. Current shield power is dropped to 0, but you get a plus 10 flight turn rate, so your turn rate's increased. You get flight speed, and you get a defense rating of plus 50. So, yeah, basically you're invisible to the enemy. Now, here's the really cool part about the battle cloak. After you decloak, you get a plus 15% bonus damage for 5 seconds. So that's important. You can do more damage after decloaking, so you'll definitely want to cloak before going into battle, and then decloak when you're ready to fire on the enemy. But because it's a battle cloak, you're able to set all your powers up before you decloak. So check this out. I'm going to cloak, and it has a really cool visual. That's the 32nd century visual for cloaking. And now I'm cloaked. I would be invisible to the enemy, but I can enable my powers. I can go ahead and enable everything I need to enable before going into combat, so that all I have to do is decloak and start firing on the enemy, and all my powers are active now. And that again will give you a plus 15% bonus damage for 5 seconds. It's only 5 seconds, it's very short, so decloak right when you want to fire on your enemy. Right then, you only get it for 5 seconds. Very short. But it has it, and that can also help you do more damage. So don't forget to use the battle cloak in battle. Again, in the combat you're about to see, I did not use the battle cloak. But just note, it has it. Okay, now we go back. Okay, I have now entered the Karaya system on the Eisenberg-class starship, and we're going to take a look at its abilities here. This is just a simple patrol just to demonstrate the abilities. The first one that I want to show you will be, let's do the console. Let's do the Great Material Continuum and look at the physical damage that it does toward the battlecruiser, and then we can see the temporary hit points that it gives me. After that, I will do the ability here, which will enable the Ingenious Tenacity, which is the Starship trait. But first, let's do the Material Continuum one. I'm not even going to go into combat yet. I'm just going to hit this feature right here. So, as you can see, it is doing damage, and then when it expires, it should give me temporary hit points based on the damage that I have dealt. So, there it expires, and there's my temporary hit points. 24,000 is what it gave me. And that's going down now, but it gave me up to 24,000 of temporary hit points. 22,000 now, going down. But yeah, not bad. Not bad. Alright, so that's how that works. Now, the Ingenious Tenacity.
Right shield's failing.
Come on. I have to fire on the ship for this one to work.
Target shields have failed.
Well, I didn't quite get in the arc on that one. Let's do it here. Here we go. All right, so here is that feature, and as you can see, that's the little bubble of restoration that it provides. And the trait should be on cooldown now. I'll do it again. It's real simple. But that's pretty much it. Now, also, you can see how the 32nd century phasers look. The sound that they provide. That's kind of unique.
Target shields have failed.
They definitely have a unique look to them. They're green colored. But they definitely have a unique look to them. Green colored. Let's do the Tenacity again. There we go. That's the Starship trait. And again, to remind ourselves what that trait is actually doing, let's read it again. It causes incoming energy damage to restore 40% of that damage to the shield facing. So it is a shield restoration, but it's based on that damage that they are doing to us. So they have to fire on us for that to work. Okay, I will use the Material Continuum again. Continuum Material, Great Material Continuum. That thing. Here we go, get close to them and give it a little power here. Oh, wrong one. There we go, we'll do both of them.
Target shields have failed.
And there's the temporary hit points. Ooh, 55,000 there. So the more damage you do with the Great Material Continuum, the more temporary hit points you get from that.
Target shields have failed.
So here is the Tenacity one again. So as they do damage to my forward facing, I should be getting a restoration on that.
Target shields have failed.
And those are the basic abilities of the Eisenberg Starship Cruiser. Pretty simple, really. And the phasers, I'm not too impressed with. They sound cool and they look cool, but they don't really have any special abilities to like help me do damage. It's really, like I said, or like it showed, reducing your bridge officer times. And I suppose that can help. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're after, but that is all of the abilities that are unique to the ship and kind of what it looks like in combat. But let's do something real hard now and really throw everything we have at the ship. How about that? Okay, to really put the Eisenberg Star Cruiser to the test, let's do Jupiter Gauntlet, but I'm going straight for the hard mode. No normal mode, we're going straight to hard mode on this one. And let's just give it all she's got. I'm going to play this like I normally would any patrol, so just watch as I use all of the features. I may not talk a lot during this. I'm just going to go in and actually fly the ship. How about that?
Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Doing a lot of damage. So with this being not a huge starship, it's actually very easy to fly. Really easy to fly.
Target shield has failed.
And as you can see, I can stay alive pretty easily with this ship.
4 shields failing. Target shield has failed.
The enemy approaches projector station Gamma. Meet them in battle.
It's quite easy to stay alive. Just depends how you build the ship out.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Four shields failing.
I want to use my material continuum again.
Left shield
Of course, being an engineer also helps.
Target shields have failed. Hull
Oops, I might blow up.
50%. Right shield
I
failed.
blew up. Just as I said, you could stay alive easily. I blew up. What do you know? I got a little too close there. They disabled my abilities and I couldn't move, so I was stuck.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Stupid solar gateway. Get out of my way.
Four shields failing. Target shields have failed. Rear shields failing. Hull integrity below 75%. Right shield failing. Left shield failing. Target shields have failed.
The enemy strikes at Jupiter
Alright,
Station.
now we have the big battle group here. Ooh, fun. Let's do some physical damage to them. Let's go ahead and use my ability here.
Four shields failing. Hull integrity below 75%. Rear shields failing.
Okay, I am in it now. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap.
Target shields have failed.
Let's see if I can get my material continuum working again.
Four shields failing. Rear shields
Oh
failing.
crap.
Target shields have failed. Right shields failing. Hull integrity below 50%.
No, I'm about to blow up. Ah, I'm about to die. I'm about to really die.
Target's shields have failed. Left shield failing.
Oh, I actually survived all of that. Wow, that's amazing.
Target's shields have failed. Left shield failing.
They keep disabling my abilities. How dare they?
Hull integrity below 50%. Hull integrity below 25. Target shield
Ah,
have
now
failed.
I really almost died.
Target's shields have failed. Hull integrity below
Oh, I was so close. Oh, that was close. Oh, well, it is what it is. They have a lot on me. They are really packing it in. I did choose the hard mode, and that's what I'm getting.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
All right. Oh, what do we have left? Let's get rid of all these solar
Core shields failing.
gateways. What the heck?
Target's shields have failed.
Jeez, solar gateways everywhere. Can't move.
Right shields failing.
Well, I think they're trying to attack.
Target's shields have failed.
Okay, can we attack the dreadnought yet, please? Alright, I think I got rid of all the surrounding ships, so now we can go for the dreadnought.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Got the temporary hit points from the material continuum thing.
Target's shields have failed.
I'll be able to use the tenacity ability. There we go. They've killed all my abilities. That's not good.
Left shield failing.
They jumped away because they're scared. Okay, that's done. So the Iconians definitely gave me a lot of challenges. They have abilities that kill your abilities, or the EMP drains your energy, and then they have abilities that kill your abilities, and then they hold you a lot, and you can't move, so they're pretty tough, and that Dreadnought is always pretty tough. So this was a pretty good showing of putting the Eisenberg Star Cruiser through its paces in a patrol hard mode. So I think that gives you a good idea of how the ship flies, how it works. I blew up a few times, but all of that's going to be based on your build, of course. You can make it more tanky, you can definitely do more Miracle Worker stuff, you can definitely do more hull strength. All those things are possible, or you could go more of a damage route. I mean, it just really depends how you want to build it. I did sort of a balance here, just so that I could demonstrate both sides of it, but you could definitely do different. But let's do a final review of this Starship, and I will give you my final thoughts on it. Alright, so this will now be my final gameplay review of the Eisenberg-class Starship in Star Trek Online 32nd Century Starship from Star Trek Discovery, made real in Star Trek Online, and this is now my final review of it. I really enjoy this Starship. I enjoy flying it. Now, we can debate all day long about Discovery. We can debate all day long about 32nd century starships and their abilities and their aesthetics and detached nacelles. We can debate forever about those sort of things. But I'm looking at this ship in this game, Star Trek Online specifically, as a playable ship in the game. From a playable ship perspective in the game, I enjoy flying this ship. This is a lot of fun on an engineering character. I could see having this ship be my primary cruiser type of ship on an engineering character. This would be a lot of fun to fly. I also like the looks of it. I think it looks fine. I think it looks good. It's not too big. It's easy to maneuver. You don't have to worry about the ship taking up all of your screen and not being able to turn or make turns or get to where you need to get to. Buff the turn rate a little bit. Definitely do that. Maybe use pilot, or maybe put some points in the Endeavor system toward turn rate. Do something for sure to improve that a little bit, because it's slow by itself. But you do that, and this is a really decent ship. And then you have the flexibility of how you want to build this ship. This is one of those kind of cruisers that you can build to be a tank. You can build it that way. You can use a ton of Miracle Worker abilities. You can have the Miracle Worker Specialist ability in Bridge Officers, and you can have that also in your specialization. You can do all that to really kind of build up the tankiness of the ship, right? You can build it that way and gives you a lot of flexibility. But you could also turn it around and do something different. You could go with command abilities on this ship also, and you could do a build and a layout that basically is more toward damage, and it will still have pretty good hull strength because it's a good cruiser in that way. It's natively has good hull strength. So you can still build it to do damage, but retain some of that cruiserness of it to do that. Or you can make it balanced. It really depends. It has 4 engineering console slots, 4 science console slots. You can do a lot with that. It has command specialist bridge officer seating. It has miracle worker special bridge officer seating. And on top of all that, a universal slot so you can put any career type in there. That's just really nice and really flexible. I mean, you can do a whole lot with it from an engineering cruiser type of build or perspective on this ship. It's really flexible. That's awesome. It also has a battle cloak. That's right. I didn't show that a lot in this video, but it does have I didn't show this at all, I don't think. I think I actually forgot to show that throughout this entire video, so I'll show it now. But it has a battle cloak. So check this out. 2 self after 2 seconds, 5,000 stealth, current shield power set to 0, plus 10 flight turn rate, plus 3 flight speed, plus 50 defense rating. After decloaking, you get a plus 15% bonus damage for 5 seconds. So there's the cloak, and it has a very unique and very cool looking cloak, 32nd century cloak. And then when you decloak, you do get a damage buff from that, plus 15% bonus damage for 5 seconds. So that's just a little extra thing there. So if you wanted to build the ship toward damage, well, there you go. The battle cloak, you use that, you decloak, and instantly you're doing plus 15% more damage. So that is another impressive ability that the ship has on top of everything else that it has. Really good stuff there. So keep that in mind. I know that I forgot to mention the battle cloak in my testing of all the features earlier, so yes, take note. It has a battle cloak. That is important. That is an important feature that it has. Please understand that. All right, so that's its features. Let's talk about its powers. The Great Material Continuum. I think that's a very cool ability. It seems to do physical damage, and then the more damage you do to the enemy, then you will get more temporary hit points. So that's cool, but it's not just to you, it's also to your allies. So if you're on a team, if you're in a TFO, you are also buffing and helping your allies. You're not just helping yourself, you're helping your friends too. So it's cool for that. Now it is kind of limited though, because it's a sphere. So the enemy has to be within that sphere, and if they're outside of it, well, it's not going to affect them. So you need to be kind of close. That's the downside of it. You have to be close. So it has some positives, it has some negatives. It's an interesting ability though, and it has that. The other trait it has is the Ingenious Tenacity. Now that one is a Starship trait, so that means you can actually put that on any Starship. Once you unlock it on this Starship, you can use it on any other ship you want to use it on. And that one is kind of cool as well, and leans toward the ability to build a tanky type of ship, because you use that ability and it restores part of your shield facing that's being damaged. However, you do need to make sure that you use a specialist ability to activate it, so a miracle worker or a command ability. You have to enable or use one of those abilities to actually have that work. So just remember that's how that works, but when you do, you get that. So some of these things do lean toward doing more damage, like coming out of the battle cloak, and the physical damage from the Great Material Continuum. And then some other things lean toward being a tanky type of ship, like the Tenacious Tenacity, or Tenacity, whatever it was called. Tenacious Tenacity? That doesn't sound right. Ingenious Tenacity. That sounds better. So those are the abilities and things that the ship comes with. And I think it has a lot of flexibility. And I think you could make it any kind of ship you wanted to make it. I think it looks good. I think it looks cool. I think it flies well. It is it's a good ship to fly around in. It actually feels well. Feels good to fly. I don't have a lot of problems with this ship, honestly. I didn't know if I was going to like this ship. I typically don't like ships that turn slow or move slow, and I thought this might be one of those ships, but it ended up being smaller than I thought it would be. It wasn't as big as I thought it would be, and it ended up maneuvering a lot better than I thought it would. So yeah, this is a ship that I could see myself continuing to use, or upgrade to Tier 6X is actually what I would probably do in order to gain another console and more abilities there. So I would probably upgrade this for sure and extend it a little further and make it even better. So I think it's actually a really good ship that they added to Star Trek Online. But again, this was in the 2021 Winter Q's Winter Wonderland. So as of right now, it was only obtainable during that special event and is not obtainable now. Now, in the future, there is potential, there is possibility that it could be in Mud's Market. It could be in some special lockbox. You never know. They could do that. So it could come to the game again. But if you had this ship from Q's Winter Wonderland, give it a shot. I think it's a lot of fun. If you did not get a chance to claim this ship and you don't have it, now at least maybe you can see a little bit of how this ship operates and what it does and what it would have provided if you had got the ship. If you were curious about what the ship is like in combat, hopefully that will give you a little bit of information about all of that. So overall, I'm left with a positive feeling of this ship. But that's going to be my gameplay review for this ship. I hope you all enjoyed that. If you like what you see here, consider subscribing and leaving a like on the video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.